In this problem, we'll see how to find the inverse of a function and then graph it. Let's look at our helpful hint. Use the following 4 steps to find the inverse of a function. First, replace f of x with y. Second, interchange x and y. 3, solve for y in terms of x. 4, replace y with f inverse of x. Here's our function that we want to find the inverse of, and then we'll graph it. We have f of x equals negative 3x plus 2. And our hint says that the first step to find the inverse is to replace f of x with y. So now we have y equals negative 3x plus 2. Second step is to interchange the 2 variables, x and y. So I'll have x equals negative 3y plus 2. Third step is to solve this equation for y. And to do that, I need to subtract 2 and then divide by negative 3. So subtracting 2 from both sides gives me this. Dividing by negative 3, I have y, and then over here, this negative sign, usually we don't leave a negative sign in the denominator. I'm going to bring it up to the numerator. So it looks like this, and then finally I'll simplify that numerator, distributing the negative 1 times the x, and then times the negative 2 for positive 2. Finally, I have y equals negative x plus 2 divided by 3. And the fourth step is to replace y with f inverse of x. So we have that the inverse function is f inverse of x equals negative x plus 2 over 3. Now we're going to graph f with its inverse on the same coordinate plane. So we just found the inverse of f of x, and now we're going to graph f along with its inverse. So I have f of x is negative 3x plus 2, and notice that is written in slope-intercept form. So I can use the y-intercept of 2 and slope of negative 3 to find the graph of f. So y-intercept is 2, slope is negative 3 over 1. So from this y-intercept, I go down 3 and right 1. And I'll do that a second time to find a third point. Down 3, right 1. So I can connect these 3 points and have the graph of f. Now to graph the inverse of f, notice on the right-hand side I wrote this a little differently. I divided the 3 into each term in the numerator. So now I have a slope, it's in slope-intercept form. Y-intercept is 2/3, and slope is negative 1/3. So a y-intercept of 2/3 is about there, and a slope of negative 1/3. From that y-intercept, I go down 1 and right 3. And I'll do that a second time. Down 1, right 3. So I'll connect these points and have my graph of the inverse of f. Now the hint mentions the line y equals x to be used as a reference line. I'm going to draw that in using a dashed line, and that comes through here like this. Now remember, with inverse functions, a point that we see on one function, for example, on function f, we have the point 0, 2. If we switch the coordinates, we should find the corresponding point on the inverse. So 2, 0. And we can use this reference line to see that the points are reflections of each other across the line. And they are equidistant from that line y equals x. So here we have graphed function f and its inverse. Now remember in the hint, it gave 4 steps to find the inverse function of a given function. Make sure you memorize those 4 steps so that you can easily find the inverse for any function.